What's up, guys? How's it going? It is Matt here. So we're going to be talking about double action pistols today and the proper technique to actually use the double action trigger. Out of all the pistols that I have, there's one pistol that I carry most of the time, and that is right here. This is my 6-hour M11A1. It's a modern take on a 228. It's actually classified as 229, but it's a modern take on a 228. Now, this is a cool gun. All right, this is a cool gun, and there's a couple reasons behind it's a cool gun, and I did an entire review on it and stuff like that too. But there's a big reason why I like carrying these guns, and I like the double action trigger. I really like the double action trigger pull. So this has been cleared prior to the video. But basically what a double action trigger is, for people that don't know what it is it takes two functions in order to make the gun go bang when you're pulling the trigger. So you have to stage the trigger, all right? It comes back like this, and then it goes down, all right? So you have to send the trigger back, and then it has to go forward. So that's two actions where after it shoots and cycles, the hammer is back. It's a lot smaller trigger pull, and there's only one action. So I'm going to show this to you real quick. So we get close, you pull it like this. There is a long trigger pull, but after it cycles, look what happens to the trigger. See, it's a little bit farther back, and the hammer's back. That means it's a single action, which only takes one action to actually get the trigger down. That's what makes it a double to single action. Now, the biggest struggle people have with these guns is how to get through that double action trigger pull. A lot of people hate on them. A lot of people hate on double action guns, whether it's a Beretta or a SIG, classic SIG or something like that, or even some HKs and stuff like that, because they just can't shoot it as well as they shoot like a Glock or something like that, or a M&P or something like that. And a striker-fired pistol has the same exact trigger, almost the same exact trigger pull every single time, so it's very, very consistent. Whereas this has a long, like 11 to 12 pound trigger pull is what it usually is. So it depends on what, how the quality of it. But this is about, say it's right around an 11 pound trigger pull. So you have a long 11 pound trigger pull, then it cycles, there's a very short reset, and then it's a very light, short, crisp trigger pull. It's designed to be carried like this, which makes it a very, very, very safe gun, because it takes a lot more to pull that trigger back to make the gun go bang. Unlike, say, a Glock, where a lot of people end up shooting themselves. And you don't believe me, just look it up. Now, a lot of police officers do it, is where put it in the holster and something gets stuck in the trigger guard and they don't really pay attention, or their finger just touches enough and boom, they shoot themselves in the legs or that type of thing. Or the worst ones is when police officers actually pulling their Glock out on someone and they're staging the trigger, because you get so used to staging a trigger because you got to. But the adrenaline going and stuff like that, when they stage the trigger, they pull too far and they end up shooting an innocent suspect. So, I'm not saying it's a bad gun. It takes a little bit of training to get over that stuff. But I like the added benefit of having a double action trigger pull. Now, when I put this in and out of the holster, it's nice because I can actually put my thumb on the hammer, so if anything gets in the way of the trigger, I can feel it and prevent that trigger pull from moving. That is the primary reason I like carrying double to single action guns. Now, even I struggle a little bit every now and then with that double action trigger pull. Even I struggle a little bit, and I drop that round a little bit. But it's always a working process, and you're always working. Some days are better than the others, just like every other shooters. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the two methods to actually pull that trigger for the very first time. Now, I've talked about the two methods to pull that trigger for the very first time, pull that double action trigger pull. Now, one of the worst things that I hear people say about double action triggers is the best way to use it is rush through that first round so you can get to the second round where it's back in the single action. That is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Please do not do that. I heard people saying that in the Marine Corps. I hear people saying that all the time. Oh, you just need to get through that first round really quick so you can get to the second round. That's bad, because I've said it before in my classes. There's like $1,000 to $3,000 an hour lawyer attached to every single round that you fire. So if you throw it and it hits someone behind it, you're screwed. So you can't just throw that round. What you can do is you can learn how to use that round and learn how to squeeze that trigger so you make hits with that gun. Now, the two primary methods are like this. The very first method is the all the way through method. The all the way through method it's pretty simple. It is the shaboom method. You want to say shaboom in your head. That's the speed you want to do. So basically what you do is when you're pulling it, you don't yank it, all right? You just go back and go all the way through, which is shaboom, shaboom, all right? Shaboom. You're saying it when you're pulling the trigger. That's the speed you want to go at. Shaboom, all right? Shaboom. That is the one method, the very first method. So when you're doing that and you're shooting it, you do that method and it keeps that steady trigger right down onto it, and it makes it go through. Now, the biggest mistake people make is they try to go really, 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 really slow with that trigger pull, and their finger gets a little bit fatigued, and then towards the end, they jerk around. That's not the way to do it. So it's a one method, through and through. It is a shaboom, all right? Shaboom. That is the first method to do a double action trigger pull. Not my favorite, but it does work. My primary method, my personal favorite method for using a double action trigger is called the staging method. I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but I call it the staging method. I stage the trigger before I shoot it. So what that means is when you're pulling it, you squeeze it back fast till we get to that little spot, then you take your breath, and you pull through, all right? You know, not going too fast. You're pulling it back enough that way you shoot the gun enough through dry fire practice, you can feel where it's about to break, and you go right before it's about to break and you put it down. Now, even then, it's a little bit tougher to pull the trigger, so you have a little bit safety when it comes to it. But by doing that, by simply pulling it till you get to the stage, relaxing, and then squeezing the trigger, it gives you a better shot, all right? Does it take a little bit longer? Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but I prefer it because I've never seen a stopwatch in a firefight, and what's most important in a firefight is being able to hit the target before the target hits you. So for me, if I'm aiming in, I stage it, boom, boom, just like that, boom, boom. See how quickly I'm doing it? I stage, boom, boom, boom. Now that minimalizes movement of the gun. No matter how many times you pull a gun, it is going to move. It doesn't matter how good it is, it's going to move a little bit. You can't beat that process. You can't beat that. Whatever gun it is, it's going to move. But by simply doing this method with a double action, you stage it, boom, stage it, boom. By doing that method, you don't fatigue out your finger for first place. You don't fatigue out your finger. And second, it allows you to get a little bit better of an accurate shot when you're actually shooting it, and it makes your shots more consistent. Now, another thing that you need to learn is when you're carrying these guns, you have to practice, all right? You have to practice. So I don't know if you want to go out and get yourself a laser target trainer. I do that. I use a laser target trainer for it. As a guy that's been shooting for a long time and teaches classes, I shoot weekly. I still train on a laser target daily, a couple times a week. I do it a couple times a week a night. I will train on it because I want to be fluent in my firearm. I want to know how to use it, and I want to have the muscle memory to be able to use it properly. So one thing that you need to do is obviously clear your gun when you're doing this training, and you also need to do this in the range if you find a place where you can do it out of the holster. And if you can't do a place where you can do it out of the holster, you can actually do it from the low ready. But you need to practice that double action trigger pull, all right? Now every double to single action, and almost every double to single action pistol, semi-automatic pistol, there is a decocking lever. Now 6 hours right here, so the hammer is back, you see it right there, and then you push this down and it brings the hammer down safely. So what I do is, this is how I practice it. It's cleared, put it in the holster. I do this on the range, and I can do it in my house when I'm doing the dry fire practice. I simply go out there, practice the double action. All right, in dry fire, it's easy because it just resets nonstop. So you pull the trigger, it goes back, and you just practice that double action. But what I do is I constantly take it out of the holster and I work on that first round, which is boom, boom, just like that. I do that daily. Now when I'm at the range, what I do to practice is I do it something similar. What I do is when I'm at the range, the gun is actually cycling at that time, so after you shoot it, goes bang, then it's gonna rack back, it's gonna be the single action. What you need to do is you need to decock it, put it back in the holster, and do it again. And decock it, and put it back in the holster, and do it again. Decock it, you catch the drift. So you're at the range, you're practicing, boom, boom, it will cycle, and then you simply decock it, put it back in the holster. That's the way how to train it. You do that over and over and over and over again. I've done it to a point where I think I did 50 rounds at a time doing it, just nonstop, 50 rounds, doing double action only. Every week when I go shoot this thing in the morning before I actually teach my class, I practice that drill. I practice it a little bit. Just pull it out of the holster, double action. Pull it out of the holster, double action. Very important. Now, one other thing I want to bring up when it comes to double action trigger pull is I've seen some people really struggle with this trigger. I mean, to the point where they cannot pull the trigger. You cannot pull the trigger. They're used to they're used to Glocks and stuff like that. So when they're pulling the trigger, they don't have the right grip on it. They don't have enough tension. They don't have enough torsion. When you have a double action trigger, obviously you don't want too much grip on the actual primary shooting hand, but with a double action trigger, you have to put opposing force with your thumb over here. You have to put an opposing force in order to pull it back. If you simply go like this, and you do that, I've seen people struggle and they get to, I don't even know how they do it. Sometimes they'll get here and they cannot pull it. They cannot get that trigger to break. They cannot. Right now, I cannot do it because my triggers are all set up. My finger is all wrong on it. They cannot squeeze that. So, okay. Oh, you got cheese? All right, go eat your cheese. Hold on, I gotta open a slice of cheese for him. Hold on, here you go.
I got 2 cheeses.
Oh, you got 2 cheeses?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Oh, little piece fell off. That's okay. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, go watch your shows. Whatever. Dad life, right? That dad life. Anyway, I'll do this again here. So, but for some reason, when they get that, I don't know, I don't even explain it. I'm not putting enough force with my thumb, and I have my finger in an odd space. I cannot get that trigger back. I cannot, because I'm focusing on the pole right here. This is where I'm focusing on the pole. I think that's what it is. I'm focusing on this pole. But I've seen plenty of students when I do a class and I take this gun out and I let them try to shoot it. They cannot pull the trigger. They physically cannot get that trigger back. That's because when you do a double action trigger, you need to shift it and have more of a tip of a finger on it, not the whole finger on it. You need a little more of a tip of the finger on it, and you have to have the opposing force, almost like a pinch. All right, you kind of pinch it with the thumb, and you're doing this, and that pulls it back just like that. So it's very, very steady. So if you're one of those people that's seriously struggling with a double action trigger pull, you got to think about your grip. All right, you really got to think about your grip. Like I said, you need that opposing force. So you need pressure on this side, and you need this finger doing the pressure. Now you want to try to keep these fingers loose, because if these are tight and you're trying to squeeze the trigger and you're pulling the trigger, these fingers will move with it, because it's kind of hard not to tighten these up and move your trigger finger without moving those, and actually can throw your rounds low and to the left. All right, that can throw your rounds low and to the left. If you're seriously considering getting a double single action pistol, or you own one and you're just not very fluent with it, you have to adjust your grip. First thing you have to do is you have to adjust your grip to make sure you can pull a trigger. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to choose a method, which one works best for you, and you have to train that method daily. And with those methods, once again, this is the last time I demonstrate it, is the all the way through method, the shaboom method. And that is the aim all the way through, shaboom, shaboom, shaboom. The shaboom method, and then the staging method, which is my preferred method, which is you aim in, stage, boom, stage, boom, stage, boom. You got to choose one of those methods. You got to make sure you have the opposing forces with your thumb and your trigger on that. And you got to make sure you have the tip of your finger on the trigger. And that's how you'll get through that double action trigger pull. Don't just crank the trigger at the very beginning and hope it hits. Actually make that shot count. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about me. And remember, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.